foundation. What is foundation? Foundation is solid cement. It's solid brick. You build a foundation by lifting weights. The fastest, quickest way to get an athlete stronger is through moving metal.
All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good night so far. Hope you had a good day. I'm just kicking back here right now, and something I wanted to check out at least a month ago now, but slipped by me, was you guys remember that video we reacted to about Tim Grover and him talking about his story about how he trained Michael Jordan and just basically the history of all of it? Well, there's a follow-up to that, and it's about Kobe Bryant. So, because I don't know if you guys know, Tim Grover also, he trained Kobe Bryant. So this one's called How Kobe Bryant's Trainer Helped Him Become a Legend. And yep, the same guy that trained MJ, Tim Grover, is an icon in my mind, an innovator, and we learned so much about him in that first video. This is by a channel called GQ Sports, and that first video was fantastic, so highly recommend it if you guys haven't seen it. Just like search Tim Grover Jordan under my channel, you'll find it. But anyways, everybody, I'm gonna leave the original video linked down below in the description. So if you guys want to check this out without my commentary, go for it. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. You guys know how much that helps. I appreciate it. Likes and comments are what make a YouTube video go from 50 views to 1,000 views. You know, that's basically all it is. And so yeah, I appreciate you guys every time. I'm actually really excited about this one because whenever I did the first one, I immediately wanted to watch this, but I put it off to the side so I'd make sure we'd react to it. So I've been excited about this one for a while. So anyways, without further ado, everybody, thank you for watching. Let's do this.
Michael said, Kobe, I'm not using my guy anymore. Why don't you give him a call? Kobe says, well, tell me about Grover. He goes, man, Grover really, really knows his stuff. But he goes, but he's the biggest asshole you'll ever meet. One of the nicest things Michael's ever said to me, because he didn't call me a asshole, he called me the asshole. But if you're gonna strive for something, never strive to be A is a part of a group, the is stand out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Tim Grover, company's Attack Athletics, title is Sports Enhancement Specialist. Kobe Bryant's trainer from 2007 to 2012. I've always admired Kobe when I was...
And what's ironic about that is, I mean, obviously we have Phil Jackson to thank and Pau Gasol to thank as well, but look at the timeline, 2007 to 2012. Guess who was going to the finals year after year during that time?
Training Michael. Everyone said he's the next one, so I've always kind of watched him saw him coming in and out of the United Center and so forth. But in 2007, he actually called Michael and said, hey, listen, my knees are absolutely killing me. Because Kobe had came into the league when he was 17.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of miles on his legs already. People forget about that he came in at such a young age and was playing at a very young age. So he goes, you think you can help me out? I said, I don't think I can help you out. I know I can help you out. He goes, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, Kobe's just like MJ.
Once I got the medical history, I talked to a bunch of individuals that had been doing work with Kobe, kind of getting what his regimen was, what he was doing, how often he'd work out. So once I got the resources put together, I flew out to LA, sat down with him. We started to go through the regimen, and the problem with his knees were he was basically doing too much. This is a common problem that's happened now. You have so many experts involved. You have your trainer, you have your massage therapist, you have your muscle activation guy. Everybody's pulling everybody in all these different directions because everybody wants the credit for the client. You got to get everybody on the same page. If I need an individual to shorten a certain group of muscles or leave them alone and lengthen others, and then you're seeing something and you're doing the complete opposite, it's never going to benefit the athlete. So when I came in, I told Kobe, I said, if I'm going to do this, I have to be the person in charge. I said, you can continue to work with everybody, but I said, I have to be in charge. I have to know everything that's happening. And then once we got everybody on the same page, we actually decreased the amount of workload he was doing. And because Kobe is another one of the persons that his biggest obsession was to have more championships than Michael. You know, if you were to ask him when he was going to retire, he would say after number 7. He didn't say, he never bought it in years, because Michael had won 6, so his goal was 7. One of the biggest differences between the two.
Real quick, it's I can't think of any other basketball player I've ever watched that I could truly say that Kobe's only downfall, well, what his major downfall was that he worked too hard. Like, he really did. He destroyed his body by just nonstop working. And I did notice those final 3 championship runs that they made with now it makes sense, because I know Tim Grover was training him at this time specifically. But one thing I noticed about that, and I noticed it back when I was watching it too, was he calmed down out there in the court. He slowed down a little bit. He was picking his points. It reminded me of the second three-peat Michael Jordan, because he was running the offense. He wasn't trying to do everything all by himself. And by doing less, 1, that was actually a good thing for the team and for their success. 2, that was a good thing for his body at that point. And yeah, I'm not talking about the torn Achilles that happened in 2011, was it? 2011 or 2012, whenever that happened. Not talking about that. That just happens. You know, you can tear a muscle and that just happens. But as far as like daily wear and tear, he did slow it down a lot. So that was probably Tim Grover being like, hey, don't do anything unless I tell you to. You know, you have to report every physical activity you do.
Michael always knew when it was enough, and he would listen to you. You know, if you told him that's it, that's it. With Kobe, to him, that's it meant that's it for that moment, but 3 hours later, I can start back up again. And he never really got out of that mentality, which I don't blame him, because that's what made him successful. It's hard to understand that sometimes you need to do less to get more. So I get everybody in the room, we pool all the information together, and I don't come in and say, I'm right. Let's everybody understand what's going on and figure out how to cure this ailment. Just like basketball is a team sport, getting an individual healthy is a team sport. When I started with Kobe, what did I have to do? We had to rebuild the whole foundation again. We had this super athlete who had all the beautiful things, had the expensive kitchen, had all the great appliances, had the cars, but the foundation of the house wasn't taken care of. And what is foundation? Foundation is solid cement. It's solid brick.
Yep.
You build foundation by lifting weights. The fastest, quickest way to get an athlete stronger is through moving metal. How can you have a sport now where you have so much more technology, you have so much more resources, less contact, and more injuries? It's mind-boggling to me. It's because everything is rubber band, everything is resistance, everything is cable. There's teams now in the NBA that don't even have a weight room.
Yeah, that's one thing I always notice about Kevin Durant. And I've always thought if Kevin Durant wasn't so skinny and he had some muscle mass to him and some physical strength, that he wouldn't get injured as often. But we'll never know. Wemby, I've been looking at him since he was coming into the league, and I'm hoping he gains some weight and muscle mass and gets some more physical strength too, because especially at his height and the amount of physical play that he likes to indulge in, I'm terrified he's gonna just like shatter his legs. But we'll see. Hopefully he comes back like 20, 30 pounds heavier next year and just like muscle. He might want to hire Tim Grover. Just saying, it would probably be a great relationship.
You still have to move iron. It's the one greatest form of injury prevention, because you do a compound movement, it sends the muscles and the electric stimulus that goes into the body that cannot be duplicated by cables. It cannot be duplicated by body work. It cannot be duplicated by medicine balls. And there's all the studies that are out there to prove it. But everyone gets back into sports specific. It doesn't look good. All right, it's too simplistic. It is very simplistic, but you're building the foundation.
Yeah, what's wrong
and
with
this is
simple?
nothing new. This goes back to when they built the pyramids. If you start adding pulleys and cables, it's not true resistance. When you play basketball, you play football, you play baseball, you play soccer, whatever you play, when you get hit, when you jump, when you land, there's no pulleys, there's no cables. Your body weight is the metal. You have to learn how to explode with it, and you also need to learn how to land with it and how to stop it. And that's what metal does.
That's interesting. When I was recovering from a torn meniscus a couple years back, and it wasn't surgery. It was I was being injected with PRP and physical therapy. They had me do a lot of rubber band resistance exercises, quite a bit of them actually. It wasn't just that though. There was a bunch of other stuff they did, but nothing involved actual like iron. No actual weights. So that's kind of curious to me. It did go pretty well. I took some time to recover. I took a long time to recover, honestly, because I was still working like over, somewhere between like 40 and 60 hours a week on my feet back then. So my knees never really got to heal. They eventually did. But yeah, that was the only time I ever worked with bands, because I've always been more of a pump iron kind of guy. And the rubber band resistant, like the resistance of it, I'm kind of with Tim Grover. It's not true resistance. I don't know. You guys have experience with these? Because I never quite got it.
Teaches you to lift it, but it also teaches you to put it down. Accelerate and decelerate. With Kobe, everything was acceleration. He had a Ferrari and a Lamborghini acceleration, and he had a subcar performance brakes. Everyone talks about, well, how fast can a person go from one end to the court to the other? Well, I want to know how quickly a person can go from one end to the other and stop on a certain particular point. I need you to be able to decelerate. So what he had a major imbalance between the muscles that accelerated and the muscles that decelerated. And that was causing the issues on his knees. So what we had to do was, for all you years, you've been shortening muscles, because that's what most training does. It's a contraction of a muscle. So we put a whole new regimen into his program where everything was lengthening of the muscle, to lengthen. So there's three types of contractions that you have. You have the isometric contraction, which is static, where the contraction doesn't move. You have the concentric contraction, which is a shortening of the muscle, and you have the eccentric contraction, which is a lengthening of the muscle. We totally took the concentric phase out of his training. Totally. Very difficult to do, because the way to overload a muscle through an eccentric phase, you're stronger on a lengthening of a muscle than you are on a shortening of a muscle. Let's take a simple leg press movement. Most people, when they do it, you have the weight set up and you push out.
Yep. And
you bring the weight back. I wouldn't allow him to push out. We would literally have 2 or 3 of us. We would push the weight out, have him place his feet on there, and just have him come bring the weight back slowly. We were able to create more of a space in between his knees, so there was less friction there. So if you had less friction, the chondromalacia and the tendonitis and all the stuff that was happening on his knees was starting to get alleviated. We were able to identify all that with the rest of his team, and everybody started to work on concentrating on lengthening everything. And lengthening is so much more painful than shortening. But the one thing you know about Kobe, this guy's pain tolerance was off the charts.
Yeah, I remember when he dislocated his thumb and just had it. He had it. Was it cup check? I think just popped it right back into place, and he didn't even there's no timeout, no break, nothing. He just walked to the bench real quick, popped it back in, he made a face that looked like he was in massive pain, shook it off, and went back to playing basketball. He's crazy, this guy.
People always say, you should have posted more of Kobe's workouts on social media. I said, if I posted Kobe's workouts on social media, we'd literally be posting something 4 times a day. That's how focused he was in his pursuit of excellence, his pursuit of championships. Kobe was like, everyone said you won the championships because of Shaq. But when Shaq was traded to Miami, Kobe wanted to prove that he could win not one championship, he could win multiple championships without Shaq. And that's when I was there.
Yeah,
Kobe wanted that
pressure,
so he knew he had to become more effective. He had to get his teammates involved. Kobe was as hard on his teammates as Michael was. He was just as hard and as competitive in practice. Everybody watched films of the current players. Kobe would tell these guys to get film of players going way back. Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Pete Maravich. He goes, I want to see what those guys did to be successful. A lot of people don't know this, is Kobe knew 4 or 5 languages very fluently. I'm talking about fluently. Obviously, English, Italian, Spanish, and I know he had started working on like Mandarin. I mean, those aren't easy languages. I mean, I'm talking about fluent, like he could have a conversation with individuals in those languages. Pau Gasol was one of his teammates, the Spaniard.
Yep.
So they would communicate on the court in Spanish so the other team wouldn't know what they were talking about. And the reason he ended up learning Mandarin so well is because he saw the explosion in China basketball before everybody else did. So he goes, how can I endear myself to this culture even more? Says, yeah, okay, a lot of players just go over there, but what if I can give a press conference in their language?
That's crazy.
You know, the greats, they show up early, they stay late. There's times where you'll see Kobe and the athletic trainer throw a towel over the finger, yank it back, and go right back in the game because Kobe doesn't want to miss that time. Same thing with his shoulder. When he's at a dislocated shoulder, you pop it right back into place.
Oh, yeah, I remember that too. It's freaking crazy ass competitor, man.
The last play when he tore his Achilles.
Oh, yeah.
Every other player in the league, you'd have had your teammates carrying you off. He not only gets up, walks to the free throw line, makes 2 free throws, then goes over to the bench and asks if you can pull it and tape it down so I can finish the game. It was the start of the USA Basketball Olympic training in Vegas. We had just stopped training because the season had just ended and the Olympics were coming up. And he goes, I want to implement cycling in my training. I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking stationary biking, in a health club or something. He goes, no, I want to incorporate cycling. So I said, all right, so we're getting to Vegas. So I'm like, all right, so I'm looking at all the different paths that we can go to. So, because I know I'm going to have to get on the bike with him.
Wow.
There's going to be security. There's going to be myself. There'll be a Nike rep, and there'll be Kobe on the bike. So I got to figure out a path. I'm thinking about basketball, change of speed, slow stop. So I got to find the right hills that go up and down. I got to know the path of when he's going to accelerate and decelerate. I didn't know anything about Vegas. So talking to different people, talking to the concierge at the hotel, talking to the different rental car companies and say, what are the best roads to go for, where the desert is? Then I'm like, okay, where am I going to get 4 bicycles in the next 48 hours that are going to fit individuals from 6'5", 6'6", all the way down to somebody who's 5'8". So I had Nike get in touch with some people on their cycling team, and they said, okay, then they made arrangements to have bikes sent to the hotel. Miscalculated something. I forgot to tell them to put the bikes together.
What?
So the night before, myself and the rest of Kobe's staff were literally putting the bikes together.
Oh my God.
Because what time's the ride? 4:30 in the morning. He wants to be out there before the sun comes up, and then he wants to take a break and ride back when the sun's at its peak.
Good God.
If I'm going to do this, I want to be in the most uncomfortable temperature environment.
Okay, I see where his brain's at, though. It makes sense. The ride up there is going to be easy. That's like your first half. Excuse me. And then the ride back is when you're exhausted. It's hotter. You're hotter. Your body's tired. All of that. So that's like simulating the second half of a basketball game. That's smart. It's crazy, but it's smart.
If you're going to ride, you're going to ride. A couple of players had heard about this, and the next day they were like, yeah, we want to go with you. I was like, no, you don't. He said, you do not want to go. And that was part of his regimen while we were in Vegas the whole time. Every other day we went on these rides. When you have those clients that are that obsessed with getting better, they're just not doing something just to be doing it. They're not going on a bike ride just to go on a bike ride. There's a purpose behind it.
Yeah, it's a game simulation.
You have to have a plan with that purpose. You just had to be a little creative, and you had to be able to have a client that trusted in your abilities enough to say, hey, this is going to work.
So all those stories, because this is when he was in the Olympics, so 2008. All those stories about all the guys on Team USA going out, hanging out, partying, coming back at 4 or 5, whatever in the morning, and Kobe's already done with the workout. Well, now I guess I didn't realize it. He was out biking all day. Well, he was out biking, in the morning. He came back, and then he's still going to go get another workout. Like all the regular workouts that the guys were going to do, he's still doing them. But he also got this crazy cycling workout already done by then. It's just crazy to think that he was pushing himself that hard during the Olympics. Like, it's cool, though. I respect the hell out of it. Tim Grover, I can't afford you, but man, I feel like you can do wonders on my body, and I could be out there playing basketball tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but within like a month. I wish. I really wish.
So Mike Procopio, who worked with me, he's one of the best basketball minds I have ever met. He would break down film to like the microsecond. He would be like, okay, he's playing any particular opponent. He goes, this person has a tendency for their performance to drop off after 6 minutes. So that would allow me to set the training program up so Kobe would start to peak and when this guy was coming down, so he could take advantage of that 2-minute time in there. I could incorporate it into Kobe's training where without even having to think about it, he would automatically know that I see this player starting to lag a little bit, and all of a sudden, this is when he would start taking off. There's certain training methods that you can do where you can maximize a person's oxygen capacity. So you can deprive oxygen to a certain point. And this was way before, when people had the masks, they had the training masks. I used to have individuals sprint back and forth with snorkels in their mouth. You can't get as much oxygen through a snorkel. And then during the time where you need it the most, take the snorkel off, more oxygen, more red blood cells are recruited. And now all of a sudden you have that burst of energy. You can't always train in altitude, but there's a way of creating the same effect. People always think, I lack the tools. You don't lack the tools, you lack the creativity.
Nice. Well said.
There's a great story about him. At age 17, he gets drafted. And people know that when you get drafted in whatever sport, somebody usually throws this big draft party for you. Kobe gets drafted, no draft party, no celebration. He goes, works out. He goes to the gym and works out.
That's what he did after winning his first championship at the Lakers, too. All summer long, working out, no break.
After he got drafted, he did his little interviews and so forth, go to the gym. Kobe was always fascinated with animals that were known to be aggressive, and a snake and the mentality of the venom. The things people feared were more of allies to him. The mama mentality is the black mama, which is the most dangerous snake out there. So he's not he's not going to think of a garden snake. If he's going to put a mentality together, he's going to be with the most venomous, most dangerous individual out there. The one thing about him I learned, he was so gracious to the young guys coming into the league. And a lot of people don't know that about Kobe. He would talk to them. He would give them answers that they just weren't ready for. They didn't have that Mamba mentality at that age, and some of them never had it, but he was trying to tell them, if you understand this now, it's the difference between an 8-year career and a 15-year career. These guys, they set their records to be broken. They want to see the next generation excel. They want to see the next generation get better. I have an expression, I have a saying that when you shake the commissioner's hand, congratulations, that's the end of your career. It's not the beginning of your career. That's the end of your career. Because now you finally exhale. You're like, oh, man, all those AAU teams, all the high schools, now college, some college, I made it. Okay, and those are the individuals that have the shortest careers. The ones that are like, I'm here now, what's next? And to see a 17-year-old to have the mentality to say, no draft party for me. I'm gonna go work out. That was the Black Mamba.
Damn. That was great. That did not disappoint whatsoever. Oh man, that's just as good as the first one. Yeah, I would love being trained by a guy like Grover. That would just be fantastic. My injuries at this point in my legs, actually I have more than just leg injuries, but like my injuries in general have stacked. So it would be a hell of a road to recovery to be able to ball. And tell you the truth, I'm at the point where like I'm just happy being healthy again and being able to, you know, like take walks and do light physical activity. I'd be a little scared unless I had a professional giving me the okay and the good to go to do like some real aggressive competitive sports again. But I would love to play some 5-on-5 ball again. I'm just scared to do it because if I do it, I might not walk for like the next 6 weeks. I've been there before. But yeah, this is great. Tim Grover, nothing but respect for him. I love hearing him tell stories. And it is cool. It just kind of confirms how similar mindset-wise Jordan and Kobe were. And it is cool that Kobe eventually learned to just trust in Grover and not overwork himself. It's just a damn shame that still led to a torn Achilles the way it did. But that one, no matter what was going on in the training, for those of you who watched it, he pushed himself so hard that season because there was supposed to be a super team basically with Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and him. And yeah, they were out in injuries pretty much the whole season, back and forth. So Kobe was out there trying to make the playoffs, and he was doing it all by himself. So, and Mike D'Antoni, he probably should have overruled Kobe because Kobe just wanted to stay out there and do everything he could to win. But he was playing way too many minutes. He was playing in the high 40s that season. So that's really what did it to him. It was just a wear and tear during the games. And you know Kobe, so he probably wasn't slowing down when it came to his training and practice. But yeah, so you can't fault Tim Grover for that. But anyways, let me know what you thought about this one. And hopefully you guys have seen the Jordan one with Tim Grover because that was great. And yeah, I enjoy stuff like this. Anyways, I am gonna head out of here for the night. You all have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. Please leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Have a wonderful, peaceful night with your loved ones. I will see you all tomorrow morning. All right. Good night, everybody.